Let's do this. This is my 2017 Ford Fusion Sport, completely stock. The bank still owns it technically, so you know, I got dignity, I got morals. Once we own the car, we'll actually do some mods on it. You can see next to it, the 2008 Ford Fusion SE, the naturally aspirated V6, the Duratec 30 motor. Absolutely solid. Car still runs perfectly fine, just needs a new battery. We realized that they made a faster, sportier version of this car. I would like to do some downpipes, maybe a high flow cat, cold air intake, maybe some bigger turbos, reinforce the trans, get a tune on it, of course. The ultimate goal would be to get some nice HREs on these, right? God, that would look good. That rust right there, I live in New England and there's salt in the air and it's horrible. It is so hard to keep things not rusting in this area. There's all kinds of stuff. But the best part so far of this car is the drive. And that is undeniable. I'm gonna connect to the phone, wallet. I love all the little compartments. I just recently, about on the 2nd, I did a alignment and I got all new tires on the car. We went with Cooper Pro Contact. They're like a mid-tier tire. One thing that they do very well, exceptionally well, is wet grip. The tread on the tires is designed to like really disperse the water. And we're in New England and we get a lot of rainy weather. It's always wet. Always wet out here. Always wet out here, so it's a huge advantage to have tires with good wet grip. That blinker would have been nice if you had it on already. Probably could have slipped in there. That's all right. So yeah, this car is very, very muted down for the sound. You know, stock, this car doesn't really sound anything special at all, actually. And it's, you know, kind of unfortunate considering it's a sporty model of their car. You'd think they would have made it a point to actually, you know, make it sound good out of the box. But it is what it is, you know. We didn't buy a BMW. We got something modest. Something quick and modest. They call this a sleeper. You wouldn't expect this thing to be as fast as it is. It's a little heavy, yeah, but it's quick, man. I didn't say fast, but it is quick. Pretty decent 0 to 60 time. It's like, you know, 5 seconds, give or take, a little less, a little more, depending on the tune or the setup. And you know, 400 foot-pounds of torque is a lot more than most people would need. So this car really, when you want to go fast for, you know, even just a little bit, you just want to go little need for speed for a sec, you know, this is a great car to do it, because it's really unsuspecting. You're not going to bring a lot of attention to yourself, you know, just driving around cruising. So when you do want to go fast, it's really unsuspecting, you know, whereas a Mustang or a Camaro or BMW, you know, you're kind of always expecting them things to be, you know, ripping around. So yeah, it's a nice little thing, you know. A lot of rainy weather lately, man. A lot of rainy weather lately. You are really slowing down a lot for this exit, though. Holy cow. Why are you slowing down so much? been in the left lane. Why are you in this lane if you're gonna drive like a baby? There you go. Fellow Fusion driver, of course, too, right? Knucklehead. Unfortunate time to be out on a scooter, man. A little back road action. One thing I do like about my area in town is we have great back roads. Now, they could be paved a little bit better, but as far as just how, you know, a lot of windy turns, just perfectly made for, you know, a driving enthusiast. Not this particular road here per se, but you know, they're scattered about throughout my town pretty well. Especially this one street called Fire Street. I'll have to feature that one of these days. It's a wild road. If you hit it with some speed, you got to be real careful because there's a lot of tight corners, and you know, you got to make sure you don't cut across in the other lane. You gotta stay vigilant, stay sharp. Yeah, it's a really fun road. Really fun road to drive on. Okay. Love those downshifts. So we're having an exhaust and an air filter and some other upgrades that bring out the turbo noises and stuff a little bit more. I want to get there eventually, but I'm still enjoying this car stock right now. go sport mode, and then we're going to manually shift our gears. That's the experience right there. One thing I really love about this car that that freaking torque is something else, man. If you are not used to that torque, or you haven't really felt anything like it before, it is quite the experience. And you know, the internet will have you believe that a freaking 500 horsepower car isn't much anymore, you know, but the reality is, anybody who's got 500 horsepower under the hood and they're driving around on the road, they're going to be like, wow, this is probably too much horsepower. You know, it's pretty funny how things work, how the world works, but it is what it is, right? Everything gets so sensationalized on the internet, and it becomes this contest between everybody who's the most interesting main character, you know. It's a bit exhausting. Internet doesn't feel like it used to. Third gear is my favorite gear in this car. It pulls like no other. It is so fun. Something I've made it a point to do in this car too is try to always keep the fuel level above halfway in the tank. I used to drive the other Fusion on E way too much, and I can only imagine, just, you know, over time it's not great for the car. You know, the air fuel pump has to work so much harder. It's just, in general, a good practice, you know. If it's something you can manage to do, I try to always keep this fuel tank nice and filled up. I feel like it runs better, you get better gas mileage, it's better for the car. Now, some of these things I don't know if they're myth or not, but it's all on how it makes you feel anyway, right? If it makes me feel better to fill it up and keep it filled up most of the way, all the time, then so be it, right? This guy blended right in for a second. I could hardly see him. Probably should have your lights on. That's exactly why they say to have your lights on when it rains. What's going on here? This road's a mess. I need to repave this whole thing. It's one of those roads where instead of just repaving it, they just patch it over and over, and it just shows, obviously. You know, it is one of the worst roads in the town, and by far. And you can see it's just patches all over. It's just terrible. Just redo the whole goddamn thing. It's been this way for years. I don't know what their problem is. Like, look at this. This is ridiculous.